the industry continues to evolve.
Yes.
So what we knew 15, 20 years ago is no longer relative.
Especially with the internet, right?
Yes.
And with that, I mean, even in 2002, we really didn't have that presence like we do today. People called on the phone. They didn't, you didn't have rates readily available online that I recall.
No, you had radio ads.
Yes.
That's what
right.
they were doing. They were running radio ads. So when did you transition to, away from B of A and then, ultimately to network funding? Like, what was that? Where were you in between there?
Yeah. We went to Chase for a short time for about a year.
And we, meaning that you and Sonia went as a team?
Me and Sonia and a team.
Okay.
We had 3 or 4 employees that went with us.
Okay.
And then we ended up getting recruited by a small correspondent.
Okay.
That was BMC Mortgage out of Fort Worth. Guy named Q Lipscomb. You know Q? Q's been in the business a long time. Really great producer. Marshall Boyd. They recruited us. Houston Morford, if you know Houston. Houston's in Austin. Worked for them. Learned a lot. I was just blown away by the differences of what they were doing in the correspondent world versus the bank world.
Yep.
We did that for about 5 years. Went to Capstar for about a year, and then kind of decided to do our own branch thing, and that's when we talked to Network Funding and went on board with them, and we haven't looked back.
So those guys at Capstar, Cody over there and that whole crew, those are top producers. Those guys are pros.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, and they've got a great system. So you were there for a year, and you transitioned away, and a lot of people over there, they stay.
They
right?
do, yeah.
So
absolutely.
what was the motivation to transition? Was it to have your own branch?
Yeah, I think so. To kind of have our own branch, our own system, our own way. And we, someone called us one day out of the blue. We answered the phone. It was Brett Snortland. And we met with him and we said, hey, this could be a good opportunity. Let's see how it works out. Let's try it. And it was a chance to have our own branding as well.
Yep.
We kind of wanted to have our own brand.
So they allowed for you to, Network Funding allows for you to be able to have your own branding and your own DBA.
Yes, that's right.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, and then that was that like 9.5 years ago?
Yeah, that was in about 2011.
Okay.
2012. I'm sorry, 2012.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And like many of us, there have been people nipping at your heels, this entire time. What is it that you would say that has kept you with that group, right, with Network Funding?
Yeah, great service. I mean, they treat us like we're their client. The production side is the dog that wags the tail, and the tail is support. And
a lot of organizations fail to recognize
they do it
that.
the opposite way,
Yes.
right? And that's where I've always struggled, where I'm like, hey, production should be the dog. Support should be the tail that gets wagged, but not in a way that production just tells support this is how it's going to be.
They can't run over them.
You got to work as a team, of
Right.
course. And I would say Network Funding has a great support system, great underwriters, very reasonable. They will listen to you. They will adjust if you say you're wrong. So all of those things we've gotten from them, and we
Would you say it's a
appreciate that.
cultural thing from the top down?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Buzz Baker, Buzz and Rex own that organization. They were loan officers back in the 90s, started Network Funding. So they understand how they've produced, right? And all of their employees have worked for them for 10, 20 years plus. So they've got longevity, and they've got a great ops manager. Now Rich Jefferson is a national sales manager, but they listen. That's an important
the key,
thing.
man.
They listen.
That's the key. And so when you go to your annual shindigs with the other top producers, walk me through that. Like what type of conversations are being had in that TP? When you're passing the pipe.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just sharing of ideas. Like, hey, how are you doing what you're doing? What are you doing differently than I'm doing? We'll have a roundtable discussion that I think is very productive, and it is about sharing how are you advertising, how are you marketing, what success are you having, are you meeting clients in person, how are you selling this product? So it's definitely a lot of talk about how to be better at what we do. What's your team doing? In fact, we had a couple of the teams from Houston that I consider very good teams come to us and say, what are you guys doing in your process and how are you doing it? So we laid it out, we mapped it out and said, this is how we do it. And it works for us. But, if we find a better way, or if you find a better way, tell us, because we might adjust that.
Well, and Russ, the Mentor 555 way is doing something very similar to that. And that's why we have guests such as yourself on, so that we can help the younger crew coming up, the next generation.
Yes.
But not only those cats, the ones that are producing now that may still have 10 more years left in their gas tank, right?
Yeah.
That are just, they're scratching their heads, they're having challenges, and they say, well, my system isn't working, but I'm doing a lot of business, but it's driving me batty.
Right.
Right.
Well, none of us have it figured out, right? I mean, I absolutely look at what other LOs are doing sometimes, and I'm going, wow, I never thought of that. I mean, that's brilliant. Or, so I think if we get to where we think we know it, then we're not learning.
Yeah, yeah. And so y'all are systems based. I mean, it's like you have to be a machine and almost like a conveyor belt to a degree.
Yes.
For y'all to do the type of production that y'all do.
Yes.
And you said that you have 2 marketing team members on your team.
Right. That's right.
So tell me what they are doing that you're not.
Yeah. So, and they have some overlapping roles where, one of those people is Sarah Marquez. She's a cleanup person. She'll go back to the client, make sure they get us everything in. But, what they're really doing is we're trying to say, hey, how do we grow our social media? What do we need to do? I mean, sometimes for me, it's just like, how do I post this? I don't know how. I mean, I'm not a tech person, so I might ask Marlene or Sarah, hey, I want to put this out there, but how do I do it? So they're doing that. They're finding content. They're working on those kind of things.
So they're posting on your Facebook and on your LinkedIn and
yes,
some other
LinkedIn, Instagram. They're looking for new ideas on different ways, different things to post, new content we can come up with. So they're both doing that in addition to other roles. But we will have a weekly meeting about, hey, what are we doing next? What do we need to do to reach more people? So
when you're closing, let's just say on average anywhere between 40 and 50 families a month, and especially when you're rocking it out, you're really having to manage that experience for each one of those families.
Yes, right? That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And so there has to be a system in place outside of the marketing, which it all kind of feeds itself, right? The marketing gets you out, gets you promoted, gets people warm and fuzzy. Now they're in the system, and now they're referring people and friends and realtors and what have you. But let's talk a little bit about your internal system that y'all use to manage that experience for there to be as smooth as possible of deal flow.
Yeah, sure. I mean, you want to know how a file flows through our process?
Well, no, the secret sauce, right?
Okay.
How do y'all keep it smooth?
We don't have one person taking a loan from beginning to end.
Okay.
If you think of a life of the loan, there are segmented points in that loan, and there's someone in each segment. So that loan file
specialist.
So that loan file is going to go through a process where it touches 6 people.
Okay.
And at the front end, it's Jennifer, and at the back end, it's Michelle, and in between, it's Ryan and Sarah Marquez and Marlene and Sarah Sambrano. We have 2 Sarahs, and then
the 2 Sarahs.
Yeah,
that's a sitcom,
That's right. That's right. And then Michelle on the back end. So it's segmented out. So that client is going to hear from 6 people in the process. But that's how we make sure that we don't let anything slip through the cracks.
Yep. Okay. Because once it moves from this category to this category, then those boxes have been checked.
That's right. And this person is done.
Yeah.
Their task is done and they're on the next loan. And so that's how we keep it moving quickly. So our front-end processor does not gather conditions.
Okay.
Once he submits a loan, he's done.
He's done.
He's on to the next loan to submit. And our back-end processor, Sarah Sambrano, she handles the approval conditions on that.
Did Network Funding, do they give you all the opportunity to have an in-house underwriter, or does it all go corporate?
They probably would give us that opportunity, but we love the corporate underwriters, and in fact, they've let us pick, hey, who do you want and
Okay.
who's second.
Okay.
So we'll do that, but they're all good. I mean, it almost doesn't matter who we get; they're all experienced, but
Okay.
they're all genuine and humble.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you say, I think you're wrong on this, I found a guideline, they'll say, I'm sorry, I am wrong. You're
Yep.
right. Let me correct that.
And that's not that's not an easy quality to possess in the world of
Right.
underwriting.
Yes.
Because many times over the years, I'm sure you would agree with this. They kind of have that Wizard of Oz mentality.
Right.
They're behind the velvet curtain. They've got the big megaphone, and what they say goes.
Yeah,
Right?
you're exactly right.
Mhm,
That's right.
mhm,
And that is not tolerable
Yeah.
to me.
Well, again, because the dog in your organization is production.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. And at the front end of all of that, really, at the end of the day, is the client, right? And it's about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so we have to look at that every transaction and go, let's make sure we do the right thing for this client. Let's deliver on what we promised. And if we can't, we need to offer solutions. Now, if we're wrong and the underwriter's right, so be it. But I've got to be able to be transparent to that client so they understand what's going on.